to the spot, Real Talk. My name is Tiffany.
I'm LaWanda.
I'm Ron.
And we have a very special guest today. We have a spotter, Ron Hunter from Brooklyn, New York. Tiara is out, but we will be right back to get into episode 4 of Ghost 2, Getting These Ends. Saying that we have a very special guest. We have a spotter joining us from the BK, New York.
Hey,
hey, welcome.
How y'all doing? How y'all doing?
Good.
Oh, good.
And I'm
really excited to be here.
I'm even better now. It's 2-on-2, so we can go for
no,
this.
look at Ron. Already hyped. Already because he got some backup.
And my namesake. And my name.
Yeah.
Oh man, he really hyped now. Tiara's out this week, y'all. She'll be back next week. But we're here to talk about Ghost 2, Getting These Ends. And let's just go ahead and get on to it. And we should start with our girl Carrie. Like,
yeah, she almost had an RIP.
Yeah, I was like, when she was me, I just knew. I was like, Zeke is not coming to meet her. I figured it was Monet the whole time. And I was just like, Carrie's supposed to be a prosecutor, but she acts dense sometimes.
Yes.
She did, and she jumped out the frying pan and into the fire with, trying to steer them away from Zeke, and she's going to steer them right back to Monet. I was like, this is
Yeah. I was like, when I saw that text, almost there, I was like, this gonna be Monet. And sure enough, she pulled up real gangster.
Real gangster. I mean, Glock to the head. Monet, I'm telling you, man, it seems like every episode she is showing her true grit. And, so she doesn't mind dropping a body or two. We've seen that. And, we see it here in this episode. But, my thought with Carrie is, you think that I would take a meeting in that desolate place, at night? She had to have thought, is this really
in the woods?
Yes. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
And you've already been warned. And you've already been warned by his aunt. And you already suspect that their family is shady. And you're going to go to the woods where bodies can be buried.
I kept thinking, I was like, okay, I get that because he's under suspicion. They don't want to meet up. They don't want to take any chances. So I get that. Remote location, but not that location.
Not that location.
Right.
Sheesh.
Right. And I was just thinking, I know she was a prosecutor, but sometimes was she a good one? Like sometimes I'm thinking, I don't know.
That's what I wondered. I'm like, did they run her up out of there? Like, because some of the decisions that she makes, I'm like,
she doesn't have very good instinct, because Monet shows up in your car with a gun to your head, and then you give them a criminal enterprise. You don't think those could at least be somewhat remotely related at all? That's why I didn't understand that. I knew she needed to give them something, but it would think to me, if you're a criminal prosecutor and you're putting things 2 and 2 together, maybe you would think there could be some relation, and maybe I shouldn't go there. Maybe I should give them something that's completely benign, that's a complete, what do you call it? Red herring. It's like her instincts are horrible.
And you know what, Luana, you are so right, because of the fact that she didn't have to say anything. Simon had it all together. Simon was the one that said to good old Detective Whitman, you need to check yourself or get wrecked by me. So
no, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say that's where self-preservation, because she was trying to head off them saying something about her.
Right. Tate.
Because when he said that, when Tate stood up and said, well, Professor Milgram, why don't you tell us what the motive could possibly be? Like that, it would have came out to everyone about the Zeke situation, because Whitman did not expose that in that meeting. He was like, we have a motive, but he didn't say what that motive was. If they had kept pressing, it would have come out to the dean, to Stern, all of them, that she was sleeping with Zeke.
And I don't think Tate would have implicated her at that point in time. I think Tate was just being messy. I mean, sometimes the best way to protect yourself is to keep your mouth shut. It's called taking the fifth. Don't.
Yeah, well, he was pressing her though. I think he found out, once he figured out that Carrie slept with Zeke, slept with Jabari, and then now she has a past with the detective. He has come to the conclusion that Carrie is loose booty, and he's decided that he's going to use that to his advantage. And then he's probably going to definitely be saying, well, oh, well, if she's that accessible, then I'm going to get my turn. He's trying to see how he can leverage that.
Which makes the motive seem like less of a motive, because there was no, unless you're just saying that Zeke is crazy and jealous, but it wasn't like she was going to leave him alone for Jabari. There was no threat there. So it's not like it's a real motive to me, other than the detective is crazy. He got an issue.
I was gonna say detective is obsessed with Carrie. And another thing, and racist too, because I'm like, because Kamal, he already said, because as we saw, Kamal, Tate's brother, is conveniently on the case. And Stern, some people think that Stern was behind that, that he did that. Rashad said it's a coincidence that Kamal is on the case, but I don't know, but he's on the case and he's trying to say like, hey, we need to follow these leads. Like Ramirez, like why aren't we asking Ramirez? And Whitman is solely focused on Zeke, no matter what. Like even when, you know, there are clear facts that's kind of steer away from Zeke, he's like, well, maybe he hired somebody to pull the trigger. So I'm like, he is obsessed.
Yeah. Go ahead, Ron.
I was just going to say that I think one thing that's very interesting to me is how he felt like, and that being the detective, that is, Whitman, how he felt like this whole thing would add up, because none of the things that he's saying really add up. He's got no proof whatsoever. However, he does have that whole thing about a young, impressionable student being mixed up with a mature teacher. So sometimes you could get some craziness to come out of a situation like that. So I guess that's what he's holding on to, but this whole thing's got to go away at some point. I mean, come on, man. I don't see it.
There's no novelty. There's no novelty there. I mean, that happens all the time. I bet if you go from one college campus to the next, you're going to find, particularly men with their female students, and vice versa. So, it's not new. And I think, like you said, Whitman is just, he's grasping for straws because he sees himself falling behind every time he opens his mouth now. So, and it's really about Carrie. That's all. Right. He really wants to stick it to her.
It makes me wonder, what did she do to him? Like, what the heck happened for him to be going this hard?
Tiffany, why you ask that question? You already
I know she put it on him. I know she put it on him. But I'm like, did she dump him after that? Like he was like, what did she do to him? Because he made that comment an episode or two ago about, well, we all know how you have a way of getting men to do things. So I'm like, well, what did she get Whitman to do? That's what I mean when I say, what did she do? Like, what did he do for her?
It was something.
It's something that we don't know about yet, why he's going so hard.
Yeah, it's called Love Him and Leave Him. And she put it on him real good.
But she was getting ready to meet him when he took her to the morgue, though.
Yeah,
she thought they were clearly in a different place.
Well, and that brings us right back to her mentality, her way of thinking, because for her to be a prosecutor, she surely doesn't fine-tune things. She just seems to go with her gut, and that's it. And there's no mental thought behind what she does. So she's been doing that now for some time.
Which makes her and Zeke a perfect pair. There was a meme going around on social media with this comedian kind of parodying how Zeke stood, well, I'm not gonna say stood up, performed in that interrogation, and how it was just, you know, they're not very, I don't want to say bright, they're just green. They're very green and seem naive. And it's shameful for Carrie because she's been around. She's had more experience. She shouldn't be that green and that naive.
I agree.
And speaking of, you know, green and naive, I think we should switch to Lauren, because poor Lauren, innocent, and we knew last week when we saw that, you know, Bushandria put those pills and stuff in her drawer, I was like, oh Lord, this is gonna come back to bite her. And sure enough, you know, what came of that meeting with Whitman and Stern and the whole crew was that the dean said that they were going to do a sweep of all the dorms to find out the drugs. And now we see Lauren swept up in interrogation and stuff, and Kamal was trying to put the screws on Lauren. And Carrie's idea is for Lauren to wear a wire. And I'm like, Carrie. And I think that was her way of, like, because Monet told her to find out who killed Jabari. So she put that on her and said, you know, you better do this. So I guess this is her way of trying to do that. But I was like, that is putting Lauren in a really tough situation. I'm like, this might get Lauren hurt.
And
you know,
it's very extreme. And it's the same thing, almost like we need to have a class when we send our children off to school. You don't have to say anything. Call your parent. There's nothing you can ever do that you can't call me or be afraid, because I can at least protect you. And I'm gonna protect you by getting you an attorney so you're not in this. You know, you're not in this.
Exactly.
But it also, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
But it also goes back to what I said earlier and few on the other episodes. I don't think Lauren is good for Tariq because of her greenness, because of the fact that she's not used to the game. And as we see now, you know, she can be talked into doing almost anything. And this could be very disruptive, or it could actually destroy everything, because now she's only concerned about herself. She's not seasoned enough to see her way out of this.
Isn't that what they talked about in class though? They had a whole lesson before that happened about the self-preservation and what you would do. And she said, I guess I figured out if that ever happens to me.
Right. And you know, the thing, you know, I thought it was really, my mind, when I watch this show, sometimes I'm always kind of thinking steps ahead, like, oh, maybe, okay, this means this is going to happen. And that threw me for a loop, the whole, them sweeping the dorms and finding the drugs in her room. I actually thought a totally different scenario. I thought, because the whole situation with her brother and his mental instability, and I don't know if he used drugs or whatever, because they haven't really gone too deep into that story. I was thinking, I hope she doesn't, you know, have some bad thing that happens to her, and then she, you know, uses those drugs and there's an addictive personality to it. I was thinking a whole different thing. So I didn't see this coming.
I don't think you're off track though. That's still a possibility, because I thought about that too. I was like, she already has a tie with the brother and drug issues and stuff. I thought about that as well. So I mean, I don't think that was off base to think that, for sure.
And I understood why Carrie did that. Obviously, it goes back to the whole thing that we're talking about, self-preservation. But and I guess you're right. The whole thing was get her to wear the wire, and you know, when you start shaking the trees, the leaves will fall. So something might come out of it.
It's gonna be a problem. It's gonna be a problem because she has that watch, the Rolly, and she's has in the cabinet, and now she and Tariq are spending time. He has no idea. I think there's gonna be some conversations that come up on there, and he may be exposed. And I just see Lauren being like another Angela, like, you know, like Angela was green, kind of green too at first, but she didn't know who Ghost was.
But Angela was a lot older and greener. So I mean, and green. So you know, but what I want to say is, you saw the look on Tariq's face. It looked like he was a little suspicious of that watch. You know, if you saw that look when she said, hold on, let me go and change or something. He had that little look on his face as if to say, wait a minute, something may not be right here. So I'm hoping he caught a ghost moment and thought about this
I don't think he know yet.
I don't think he knows.
She acted weird.
No,
Now, she
and that's
definitely, I think he looked that way because she was just like, oh, wait a minute, I gotta go to the way
right.
she.
And he's a
went to the
smart
bathroom.
guy. He can add up, you know, she acting weird, this whole, you know, hopefully it'll say something to him. So, and then I'm not saying that he knows. I'm just simply saying he had that little suspicious look on his face, trying to add things up. Hopefully he can do the math and figure out that something's amiss. Because he can help her. See, if he does find out that she's wearing a wire and he finds out why she's wearing it, I think he's smart enough and savvy enough to kind of come up with something to get her out of that situation.
Listen, I'm worried for her. Tariq is a serial killer. Tariq is a serial killer. And if push kind of shove, he likes her. But I think to self-preservation, he killed his own dad.
Oh,
He'll take Lauren out. Now,
and that's what I was thinking about Carrie. Carrie put her in a very dangerous situation. You to wear a wire to uncover a drug ring on college campus.
Exactly. That's what I said. What type of prosecutor did she used to be? Like, this is like she's solely worrying about herself. She clearly not thinking about Lauren. You know, I said, because
advisor are you?
Yeah. I was like, what kind of advisor will tell you to wear a wire and stuff, or not advise you, like, you know, Lauren, I think you should talk to your parents, just blah, 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 get an attorney. Like I was like, Carrie, man, I think we need to put Carrie on the hands list this week.
And in fact, I was hoping that she'd say something to the effect that those other girls were in her room. That
she said she wasn't a snitch. She said she wasn't a snitch because if she says that, that's implicating them.
Well, but here, look, I believe in self-preservation. You know, I'm just going to come out. Look,
stitches get stitches.
We might get stitches, but we ain't doing time. So my whole thing is, you know, I can't do no time. I would just simply say, hey, you can't pin that on me. There were other people in the room at that time. I don't know who put it.
My fingerprints are not even on it. Test
exactly.
it.
I was just thinking that. I'm like, why don't they just test the thing for? If I was Lauren, I'd be like, test the thing for fingerprints. See whose prints. You ain't gonna find mine.
Exactly.
When I'm calling my parents, I'm like, listen, we need a lawyer, because I'm not going down with something I ain't do.
Exactly. And I'm not wearing a wire because you're not.
And I ain't wearing a wire, right? No. I ain't wearing a wire. I ain't talking to you no more.
Yeah.
You holler at my lawyer.
Yeah. Because, you know, that was dumbfounded of them to do that to her anyway.
Right.
You don't dump drugs in somebody's drawer like that.
Yeah, that wasn't cool. That wasn't cool.
You're not looking after me. Right. You're not looking after my brother.
They already know her history with her brother.
Exactly.
So that's all the more reason why they shouldn't have done that.
Exactly.
So that wasn't cool. So we talking about Lawrence, Tariq. We see Tariq, like, even though Tariq was in the episode, it seemed like he kind of wasn't. He was in and out. he was in and out. He was doing damage control here and there. But we saw that Brayden, that Kane was using Brayden. How about somebody else being green? You know.
I said it before, and I'll say it again. That man he has a death wish, for one thing. And then number two, you know, he is so wild in his wanting to level up and be a part of this gang organization thing with Kane. He's just, these aren't even mistakes. This is just dumbfoundedness. I don't understand how Brayden can be so.
It's privilege. It's privilege. It's
exactly.
We're having to worry about getting in trouble, right? I think that's what it is. It's privilege because he's bulletproof to a certain extent because he's you know, you come from that kind of wealth. You're used to getting away with stuff. So the kind of fears that other people have about getting caught is not even entering. This is just fun for him. It's thrill seeking.
But he was willing to drop a body.
Because he feels like he's gonna get away with it. If anybody's gonna get away with it, it's gonna be
definitely
him.
Right. Because for him to hit that lick with Kane had a mask on. Yeah. He went in there with no mask. You don't think that they didn't kill the guy? You don't think that jewelry store owner is not going to describe Brayden?
And I was just thinking, I you know, as crazy as Tommy is, Tommy would have wore a mask. He's not just gonna run in there with his face.
No, that's what I'm saying. So he was like, I guess, like LaWanda said, privilege.
And here's the other thing. Even when Kane came in and shot all the cameras, Brayden was already in the store before the cameras were shot, and destroying the cameras does not destroy the tape. So, you know, here we got, as you said, Brayden just, you know, out there naked, face naked, you know, and when they do look at the tape.
And then this whole situation with Brayden, you know, he's not being honest with Tariq. And Tariq told him to stay away from Kanan. And you see Kane is getting ready to set Tariq up. And it's going to be Brayden's fault. It's going to be issues.
But I'm going to tell you, this is perfect. This is perfect. They got Brayden's face. They got Kane put Ramirez's badge in the drawer. Brayden can go down for all of this. Yeah. Because if they if they can tie in the jewelry heist to Brayden, and they get to that room and find the badge, well, he's already a criminal, and the fact that he tried to shoot the guy and the gun jam, well, he could go down.
He wasn't a criminal. He's a Weston. So, and the Westons get away with stuff.
Well,
so,
right. Yeah, but if you want to implicate somebody, Brayden's it.
I know, but Kane's intent was to implicate Tariq, and I think because Brayden hasn't been honest with Tariq, it probably will fall back on Brayden.
It could backfire on him for sure.
Right. And you know, I'm just really surprised. Like, I know this guy is thirsty for the thrill. He wants to sell. He wants to be like this big kingpin because at least he's doing it on his own. That was kind of surprising to me that when the store clerk went to hit that he would even think to shoot the weapon. That was surprising to me. I wasn't expecting that.
I'm glad. That's one time I kind of agreed with Kane. I was like, thank goodness he jammed the gun because there was no reason to shoot him. And I'm just like,
I heard Kane said, if anybody's going to drop bodies, it's going to be me. So,
right.
You know, but yeah, it's I just think that Brayden's time is real limited.
Yeah, and you know, another thing I was thinking, because I know Tiffany always points to this, and I'm going to be looking forward to it on Tuesday when Courtney gives her
Q&A. Yeah,
Q&As, right? You know, she's been asked many times because they always say it about Ghost and Tommy and Brayden and Tariq. And she always says, Brayden is not Tommy.
Brayden is not Tommy. Even though a lot of people think that, you know, they're doing the same thing, same storylines and stuff. She said in her Q&A that Brayden is Brayden. He is not Tommy. He is not like Tommy at all.
Yeah.
So. And
he's made a terrible mistake not bringing Tariq into this situation with Kane. He's making a terrible mistake.
Because Kane, Tariq told him straight up to stay away from him.
Away from him, exactly.
You know?
Yeah. And
the other thing I was going to say, I'm sorry, Lawanda.
No,
I was going to say, have you noticed how chaotic this episode was in the way that everybody's doing their own thing to try to help a certain person, Zeke?
Yes.
But it's all affected. I thought this was interesting because everybody's got their own thing going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to get into that next. Because Tariq, he's been distracted because of that. Because this whole stuff with Zeke, you know, everybody, it was like all hands on deck to try to protect Zeke. Because Monet, you know, Davis agreed to take the case, but he asked for $1 million because he's trying to get a McLaren. He don't care about nobody. You just pay me. That's just run me that money. Clearly, that's his MO. Run me my money.
Yeah.
But I didn't mean to cut you off, Luanda. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. No, we're going in the right direction with this.
Because... So Davis, you know, so he asked for $1 million. Monet tries to go to her bar to get the money. The money is gone. The money's gone. She thinks it's the contractor.
Oof.
He was the contractor. Clearly, it's not the contractor. We know it's Diana that took the money. Diana took the money because she paid to try to get Lorenzo out of jail. She paid Davis, and then she tried to go back to Davis and say, well, can you transfer the money that I got and put it on Zeke's case? He said, absolutely not. It's already in motion. So they're jacked up there. So everybody was trying to, you know, do their thing to help Zeke. And it was crazy because Monet went to see Lorenzo to ask him to sign papers to help mortgage the house. And he's like, absolutely not. He shut her down. He's like, no, you know, I'm not doing that. We already put up a lot of money for my case. And we're not doing that for Zeke. Even though Zeke is family, like she's like, this is my, you know, this is my nephew. And she said, well, you would do it if it was one of the kids. He was like, yeah, but he's not one of the kids. So for me, I was like, okay, that's the end of the road for Monet and Lorenzo.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
and you know what? When he said that, I thought that was kind of cold-blooded.
Yeah.
But now I fully get why that's
going. Oh yeah, I'm working my way to that.
I'm not going there yet. I'm not going there yet because there's a lot.
Yeah, I'm working my way to the big reveal.
Well, before you get to that, because I didn't want to gloss over this because I think you're moving. I see where you're moving. Like, do you understand how big that? Because this is something you can't gloss over. No. How big is it to? I'm going back to the money. Right. But because when Method Man's character, I always forget Davis, when Davis said he needed $1 million, she didn't really say exactly what was in that safe, but she made it seem like $1 million could have been in that safe.
In there.
She was so for Diana to take $1 million out the safe, what is going on here? What do you think?
Listen, that'll get her killed.
But
that'll get somebody killed.
When Monet finds that out, and she's gonna find that out, and because see, this is what you call that snowball effect. That ball gets bigger and bigger as it rolls down, because obviously Diana wanted it to be a surprise that she was able to get Lorenzo out of jail by stealing the $1 million. Now we know that $1 million was supposed to go to Zeke's defense, and Monet now. She is now pitting one son against the other because she's actually chosen Zeke over Kane in so many ways. So
over the whole family, for real. Like she has protected Zeke. She treats Zeke differently. Like she kept Zeke out the life. She sheltered him, and then she forced the other kids to be in the life.
So here we go with this money situation. And when Lawrence comes home,
Lorenzo.
Pardon my expression, but the shit will hit the fan.
Lorenzo, yeah, it is.
I mean, when Lorenzo comes home,
it's gonna be a war. That's what we built up to.
Look,
it's gonna be Mecca and Lorenzo.
Episode, PowerBook season 3 is gonna be all that. Okay, it's gonna be all that.
It definitely is. It most definitely is. Because I mean, when you go back to this, we're about to find out some interesting things about Diana, because her conversation with Effie was interesting too. Her word choice was very interesting. And so I'm just trying to see where this is going, because she's definitely at a state where she's rebelling against her mom.
Which I can understand, because the way she talks to them kids, and she makes them feel like there's nothing is good enough. Like just like what Drew said, like, he got his boo Everett to do a GoFundMe and do a protest, and he was the one that raised the most money for Zeke's defense. But she got mad at him because Zeke being green, being dumb. I was like, why wasn't Zeke in the house? Zeke was out there conversing with a reporter. I was like, what the heck are you doing? You're supposed to be laying low. Like, what are you doing? You know, he should have just gone in the house. And so when Drew came back from seeing Everett, who also is green and crazy, and I think something will happen to Everett because he's been running his mouth.
And wanting to get more into what he should stay.
Yeah. He need to stay away. But he told Drew that he let the authorities know. He dropped his name during the case about the GTG thing. So he blew up the spot. And so Drew had stormed off, pissed, come home and see this reporter out front, questioning Zeke. And Zeke is entertained. I mean, Zeke was like, well, I'm not answering the questions, whatever, but he still should have gone in the house. But the reporter started talking reckless about Lorenzo and stuff, saying that, is it fair to say that, murder runs in the family or some crap. And so Drew goes off like, you need to keep my dad's name out your mouth.
Yeah,
and he stomps dude out.
Right.
And so that pissed Monet off, because Davis had to come to the house and say, now he done assaulted this reporter, and so that he won't press charges, he wants the family to agree to a sit down with Jemele Hill. Love Jemele Hill, by the way. I'm a sports fan, love her commentary.
Yeah, she's great.
Last minute of that, except for the last minute of her interview, I didn't like it.
Except for the last minute. Except for the last minute interview. But as a whole, I love Jemele Hill.
Yeah.
But let me digress for a moment, because we kind of glossed over this. Effie is fine. Okay, I mean, I knew she was cute, but
They
Effie,
cleaned her up.
oh my God, Effie was cleaned up. Now we can go on to our.
Effie got a lot of tools in her bag, right?
Yeah, man.
I mean,
Yes, she does.
Oh,
As we saw, all three of the ladies are beautiful. I'll say that.
yeah, of course you would. But I'm just right now. I just wanted to make sure we didn't gloss.
Yeah, you wanted to go there about
Hey, I just want to say, Ron, I since the beginning, I always knew there was something different about her compared to the other two.
Yes, indeed.
Okay. So she was a favorite for you?
Yeah. I know there's something about, because you know what? Regardless of how grimy or how gutter her character is, it's real. You know what I mean? Like, she does everything. It's for a real purpose. It's not like fabricated. She uses her ways to her advantages, but it's all like, I just think it's more of a survivalistic type thing. The way she lives, the way she sees life. She don't cut corners. She's like straight down the middle. She may use certain things to get there, but she's just the way she thinks. I just like her, the way she comes off. Diana's still learning. Lauren's too green. Like, Effie seems to have it all kind of put together.
But she's a chameleon. She knows how to fit in, get in where she fits in, and she can fit in all different kinds of environments.
Yeah. This was surprising.
Which is why she's so perfect for Tariq. But I digress. Didn't mean
No. It's interesting that you said that, because now that leads me to what Courtney Kemp said, because in the Q&A, she said that Effie was one of their favorite characters to write. And they asked her, like, if there was someone that could get a spinoff, who they like to see in a spinoff. She said Effie's character.
Right.
So she's really intrigued by her character. So let's see where that goes. She is a regular character on the show now.
And can I just say this? Because I get it, man. And I don't, no offense to the actor who plays the role of Zeke Cross. Sometimes I'm tired of seeing his face, because I don't like that he's so, like, they got my man looking crazy out here. Come on, man. You already know Monet said for Drew to stay in the house and keep you out of trouble. And soon as Drew leaves, you tell him you go out, sit on the stoop and talk to a reporter? Come on, who does that?
That's what I said, clearly. And now I thought about it when I watched it, and I was like, maybe that's why she sheltered him the way she did. Because I think she probably recognized at a young age that, like, he likes Sean. He ain't built for this business.
Yeah,
right. And she could tell that the other children were. And I think that's why she's like, okay, we're gonna put a ball in his hand. that's his walk. That's his walk. Because clearly he ain't built for this. So I think that's the calculation she made, because it seems like, because he is so green.
And
or sometimes how they'll say women treat the child based on how they feel about the father. And it's almost like, are you just discounting Lorenzo's kids?
Yes. Girl, you know what? I feel that too. I feel like Mecca probably was the true love. And that's the firstborn. Zeke is the firstborn. So she treats him according to how she felt about Mecca. And the other children are Lorenzo's kids. So she treats them accordingly. I think there's something to that.
That's what I'm starting to figure out, because part of it, we were having these offline discussions that we were thinking that Mecca was going to be Kane's father because of the way Lorenzo treats him. Mm-hmm. And we were thinking it was something that was going on, that maybe it was going to come out in the end that Kane was actually Mecca's child, or somebody else's, not Lorenzo's, just because he's not apathetic, but he could care less about Kane. But to find out this, I don't think anyone saw this coming. I didn't see it coming, but it makes sense on that she treats him differently. But it also seems like the way she would feel about Mecca is definitely different than she feels about Lorenzo, and not just because Lorenzo's in prison. It seems like there's a different dynamic there, almost out of necessity or something.
It goes back to that conversation that she had with Diana. Remember when she was talking about, you're not going to get that from Tariq, when she talked about the true love and then having the protection. I feel like maybe she loved Lorenzo, but it was more necessity because Lorenzo's name was feared in the street. So I feel like the protection, the same thing that, you know, the same reason why she was kind of hooked up with Ramirez. Like Ramirez was kind of protecting her in that way when he was out. That's how she kind of viewed Lorenzo, his name in the street. Same like, think about Raising Kanan. What the same reason that Rock was with old boy was DEFCON. You know, he had his name rang out in the streets. And I think that's the same way that that Monet views Lorenzo. I think Mecca, judging from this, was the true love.
Mecca is Angela. Mecca is Angela for Monet.
Mecca is an Angela character because he dipped, he was gone. And I saw that the chef, well, what was the dude's name that he choked out? Nuff?
Oh,
No.
Nuff. Yeah, Nuff was getting ready to say something about him being in Kuwait. So I think what's someone is a mercenary. I think he was over there like special services or something.
Yeah.
Because the technique when he put him to sleep like that, I think he is a mercenary. I still think he goes brother. I still believe that.
Okay, since we jumped into this 10 feet of water with Mecca and Monet, and I'm bursting at the seams because of the fact that, okay, I don't have a lot of time, so I guess I have to take this at the level that I see a problem. And when Monet went in to talk to Mecca, she still called Zeke her nephew. Why did she do that with Mecca? And then I thought, I said, wait,
because she didn't know he knew. She didn't know he knew.
Why'd you take my fun from me? I was just going to study. I'm saying, how? Then I thought, well, how could Mecca have found out? Because you can't, it's not like Mecca could have watched the news series and saw Zeke and said, oh, he looks just like me. This must be my son. But then, no, Mecca knew before them, because remember when Cain came up to Mecca and said he had something to do, help his family, and he said, oh, is he your brother? It was the way
he asked if he was brother. Yeah, and then he said, no, he's my cousin. And he figured it, that's when he figured it out.
Yeah, that had to have been, you stole my joy. That's okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's what it is. Now we got to go and look at this family tree. Is Zeke older than Cain, or is Cain older than Zeke? Because it would have to be that they are around the same age for Monet to pull off this pregnancy and the kids not know. But then if that's the case, Cain is older than Drew and Diana.
Yeah.
And so Zeke is,
I think Zeke is older. He might be maybe even a year older or so.
Like,
they're close in age, but I think Zeke is older.
So that would mean that she got with Mecca first, left Mecca, and then immediately met Lorenzo, and then got hooked up with Lorenzo. Now, I still hold true to the fact that Lorenzo and Mecca are brothers. They may not have lived in the same home. They may not have been close, but she kept saying nephew. And so that terminology wrapped up to where we are now. Look, why would you cast two men that almost look identical?
That's true. That is true.
That's interesting. That is interesting.
Why would you do that?
I have something disproving to that, maybe, but continue. I like where you're going, though.
So you cast two men that have the same facial look, the same body build, the same bald head, the same structure, the same mannerisms. Why would you do that? And that's when it started to ring. That bell just started getting louder. Now I could be wrong.
Those brother, man, and the fact that he been watching Tariq and Brayden for all that time, like
I think that the two of them are brothers, and she just got with, both of them.
Oh,
It's her motive for hiding the fact that she's his mom. If he's older, there's no reason to lie about that being your nephew. You see what I'm saying? If
Well,
he's older,
except that Lorenzo wouldn't feel too kindly at any point in time you going back to my brother just because I'm in jail. You know, so I can see her hiding that fact, but it's just that thing is biting.
That's a good point though. But I want to hear Ron H's point.
well, let me tell you something. First off, I like that even better. If that is the case, and the fact that they're both brothers, ooh, we just takes this whole thing on another level. Ooh, yeah,
That's
I like
real
that.
messy. That's real messy.
Yeah, I like that. And then what does that say about Monet? Ooh, come on now.
Yeah, messy. Woo, talking about Carrie.
She might have to throw some of the Mary songs in this show. It fits. But you know, like my whole thing is what's throwing me off is Courtney. Courtney's in my head because they asked her a question about Mecca and about Tariq and how she had mentioned that, you know, there's going to be influences that come into his life that help him. And someone said something about family, and she kind of was like, but she didn't. So that made me think that was Tariq's family of some sort. But I don't know. Maybe it could have. Family still applies though.
Hey, and look at Mecca.
Ron could be right over there.
And Mecca could very well be Hispanic. We haven't heard him speak it, but he has that look. And so, you know, look, I'm telling you, if you find out that the words that came out of my mouth.
I mean, that's a good prediction, Ron. It could be. It could be. Or he could just have been a rival. He could have been Lorenzo's boy. I mean, even if he ain't a brother, that's still messy. If it's somebody that Lorenzo was connected with before he went in.
But I'm just trying to think of, as when you're casting people for certain roles, why would you cast two people that look that much alike?
That's true.
Why would you do that? There has to be a reason, and that had to have been in the writer's pocket to say, we're going to reveal this at some time. And because it's just, it could be coincidental, but I do not believe that it is. That is you do that on purpose. And now the question becomes, what was that purpose?
Well, I will say your idea is a much better story, but I would love for him to be Ghost's brother because I just miss Ghost.
I do, Ron. You know me, Ron. If you've been watching us long enough, you know I miss Ghost.
That's Team Ghost over there. I'm gonna get Ron a Team Ghost t-shirt.
So let me ask this question then. Because I think we've kind of talked about that too. If he is Ghost's brother, can we assume that he knows that Tariq killed Ghost? Because it seems like he's after Tariq.
That's why I said he is really trying to, you can tell that he had been following Tariq's story. When he told him about Brayden, he was like, no, Brayden has been around for years. He had done his research. And I was like, and somebody in the comments made an interesting comment about, is Mecca, was he Effie's connect when she was at Cho?
Ooh, okay.
And somebody made that comment. And I was like, wow, that's a good prediction.
Yeah, because we still have not got into the Effie story yet.
Exactly. So I'm like, is that the connection?
I got one more for you. Effie could be the daughter of Mecca.
She did talk about her parents. She said something crazy about them that, you know.
Yes, she said, she did. She did say that.
That's another one I was twisting over today. Mecca could be her daddy.
Whoa, what does that? Wait, could Effie and Tariq be related?
No, I don't think that there's a relationship.
No, I mean, but if Ghost and Mecca were brothers,
and I don't think so. You know what I see. The reason I see he wants to get rid of Tariq so much is because he is family oriented. So he's taking pain in. He's now admitted to the fact that he's got Zeke, that Zeke is his son. And he wants to get rid of that extra weight. We don't need Tariq. And
anybody that's a threat, especially since Kane already said he doesn't trust Tariq.
Exactly. Tariq becomes a major threat. And the reason one of the other reasons he becomes a major threat is because of his daddy and what his daddy did. And I'm sure Mecca knows that. So if he's going to stamp out anything, he's going to stamp out Tariq and take the nucleus that he has, Kane, Zeke, Monet, Drew, Diana, he's going to mold around them.
I got one more for you before you move on. Sorry, it's just this is just spurring everything now. The other reason why Tariq's also a threat is because this family, in essence, doesn't have any direction, right? They all look to Monet, and Monet's not always right. So technically,
Clearly.
Mecca, as far as wit, is smarter than all of them.
Exactly.
So the only competition to someone like Mecca would be someone outside of the family, like Tariq, who thinks totally different.
Absolutely.
You know. So yeah, that's another reason too. I could see that.
And we got this thing solved, y'all.
Yeah. Look, at least we think we do.
Yeah, also, you know, it could also be, you know, when Ghost left, he was tying up loose ends. Mecca could also be a loose end that he didn't tie up because he did a lot of dirt in the streets too.
Yep.
So
it's a lot. This is a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot of ways the story can go with him. So I'm real interested in that and finding out about him and his background.
Yeah, very intriguing. And and messy, we see like Sax is going even deeper into the dark side. Like, you know, Mr. DA, a prosecutor or whatever, prosecutor. And he is like going through old girl's bag and stuff. Like it was reminiscent of how Ghost got the drawing and threw Angie under the bus. You know, and stuff. I was like, remember when she did that? And then Ghost used it in court to get Tommy off. And I was like, here, Sax is going further to the dark side. He using old girl to get information to feed, you know, to help get Lorenzo off. I'm like, yeah, he's going deeper and deeper. I thought it was interesting, like you said, about Effie and Diana too, when they were out there trying to do the credit card thing. I thought it was interesting that these two are actually building a bond and everything. I was like, I thought that was kind of cool instead of having them at each other's throats, even though I think eventually they probably will over Tariq. But Effie wisely told Diana to stay away from Tariq. Diana let her know that, you know, she talks about how she wants to be for her first time. She let her know she's a virgin. And Effie, like she says, she's trying to protect Diana and everything, but you can see that Effie still cares about Tariq too. I'm like, she in her feelings, clearly.
Yeah, Effie, she has that girl power thing going on, and I think that she sees good potential in Diana, and she just wants to, you know, she wants to stay close. I mean, here they are boosting together, and I'm thinking, okay, it's you know, again, Diana quite revealing. And here you got Effie, who looks entirely different than what she does on a normal basis. And, you know, it's that same situation with Brayden. I just don't know if Diana is cut out for this lifestyle. And it's just, I don't know, something's gonna happen with her because she's not ready. Stealing $1 million from Monet.
But that's what I'm thinking about her. She's deceptive. That's what I'm kind of figuring out about her, that she can be very deceptive. And I wouldn't look past that, because that's another thing about self-preservation, a person that is able to deceive people close to her so easily.
Yeah, because she lied to Tariq last week too. Because she told Tariq that Monet was mad at him about the stepped on weight and stuff, and that wasn't true. And she said, "You owe me." So I was like, so she is figuring out how to be calculating and stuff in this business and everything. So
she's getting. I mean, I can see how manipulative she is.
Yes.
You know, but functional wise, the functionality of running a lifestyle like that, she's missing.
That's why she's trying to learn. That's why she's latching on to Effie. She's like, I'm smart. I have a look and everything. She's learning what Monet taught her, and then now she's latching on to Effie and stuff. So she's getting schooled.
Okay.
She's like a sponge to me. She's desperate.
Yeah, she's soaking it all in.
Yeah.
Yeah. And let me tell you, she wants to stay away from Tariq because she can't trust him, and you know she knows how he yo-yos back and forth with. But let me tell you,
she needs to, but I don't think she's gonna be able to stay away from Tariq. I think she really has.
She better not let Tariq see her the way she be looking when she's out there in them streets. Because Tariq ain't gonna stay away. Let me tell you.
Lord.
You know, only reason, I think Tariq likes her too. The only reason why I think he's staying away from her is because of the situation with Monet and all of that. You know, the
Right.
business, the
Exactly.
complications.
He's always been trying to protect her, even with the whole thing was going down in school, and when they were watching in the gymnasium and everything that took place after that guy was coming after him, and then 2-Bit wound up taking him out. Like, he just immediately kind of let her know that he couldn't see her, and she took it a different way. But he was trying to protect her from that point. Like, he's always kind of been looking out for her best interest.
Yeah.
So, and the other thing I was gonna say about the whole Effie situation is, I think that, you know, how you guys mentioned the whole thing about her and Diana eventually going back and forth with each other because of Tariq, which is probably going to happen. It might be inevitable. But what hit me, because I always forget this show is so good. I know some people just don't understand how good it is, because, you know, the other characters they're used to aren't here anymore. But I always forget back to Courtney. The name of the show is Power. So it makes me think, why do these people do some of these things they do? And it goes back to power. Like, Diana wants that power to be on her own and show that she can make decisions and she can do stuff. Like, all these things. Brayden wants that power to be out. He wants to be the kingpin and all, like, all these things.
And power struggle. And power
struggle, right. Yes.
And so you're absolutely right. So she's encapsulated all of the episodes around the term power, and we're beginning to see that. That's why I so strongly believe that Lorenzo and Mecca are brothers, because that's another power struggle that we would have to continue.
You might be right, Ron. That would be a really interesting story. Yeah, that you might be right. And well, you know, talking about how everybody was doing their own thing, going back to Ron H's point, it was all to protect Zeke. Like, everybody was trying to, you know, get money for that. You know, we saw Drew try to get Everett to raise the money. Effie and Diana were pulling the leg. You know, everybody's doing what they had to do. They had to do the interview, because Zeke, that was the only way they could get out of assault charges for Drew, assaulting the reporter. And Zeke bombed. Like, Tariq schooled him and everything, coached him through the interview, but Jamel went off script. He went off script, asked him a couple of other questions.
Yeah, but that's also Tariq's fault, because you should also prepare your person for one of those hostile news people. So you can't always go in thinking that the questions that they fed you are questions that they're going to ask. So you have to understand that this might be a hostile situation, and you may be asked certain questions, even though they may not be related.
You are supposed to prep them. But however, how would they know that? Because I was like, somebody from the police station is leaked. Because I was like, how do they know that the gun was found and all this stuff about Ramirez? And we checked the schedule and he hasn't been in any of your games. Like, how would somebody from the DA's team or the police station, somebody leaked information?
But if you're prepping a person, you knew that Zeke had given the PDA with the card to police. You knew that. So you have to work around what if. And even though we got these questions, it could be a hostile type situation, and you got to prepare him for that situation, because, you know, he could have easily said, if prepared, he could have said, no, I don't know him personally. I would, you know, I've seen him around, and he stopped me on the road one day and he saw who I was, and, you know, he gave me a card and said, you know, look, if you're ever in trouble, my brother, here, use this card. You know, that is the kind of preparation that should have gone with that discussion with
he needed preparation, period, because they haven't prepared him for anything. Like, you know, first of all, he shouldn't have had.
But you definitely don't lie about something that the police know. Because at the end of the day, if you're on an interview and you lie, but they know you look guilty. So common sense should have told him that's a fact. That happened. They know that I know him. So I have to answer that question now. What I do after that, but what he should have known not to lie, because it's too easy. It was too easy to disprove the lie.
Correct.
Right. Well, you know, the other thing I'm sorry, Tiffany.
No, go
The
ahead.
other thing I don't understand is, you know what, like for people to be in a certain life and do things the way they want to be bosses and all this stuff, to watch what's going on. Mind you, this is not a police interview. This is a sports related interview conducted by Jamel Hill on a sports channel. You don't have to, if you think about the whole situation, they had agreed to do the interview because that keeps Drew out of trouble for hitting the reporter. It keeps Zeke out of trouble for this all falling back on him. The point was to do the interview. Now, once the interview is being conducted, you could kind of do what you want to do. You've already held up your end of the bargain. So you could shut down a lot of these questions. You could say, listen, we'll answer what we want you to answer. When it comes to a point that don't look right, no, just don't give an answer.
Come on with the media training, because that's the thing. When you are doing these interviews, the point is to get your message across. Right. So they should have prepared him to pivot, to bridge, to other things.
Right, and that's what you do, and that's why I say you also improve, bring into media training hostile interviews, because you got to say, like for instance, the police knew about the car. How'd you forget that? I mean, that's a pivotal piece of information, and not only that. Go ahead.
It's very easy, you know. Look. Yeah. I'm a student. Like I said, all I want to do is play ball. I'm on the investigation. I can't even get into that. But I'm more, you know, if you want to talk sports, let's talk sports. Right. I'm going pro. I'm doing this. And leave it at that. But again, like you said, he just needed to be prepped. He's the kind of person that needs to know that he has permission to say that.
Yeah,
you know
right. I mean? Right. He needed to be prepped by Councilman Tate. That's what he needed.
Councilman Tate Davis, okay. You paid Davis $1 million.
Yes.
And he let Tariq.
Yes.
Media consultant. Where was that $1 million going to the media?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Good point.
Amen.
Yes.
Amen.
There you go, Luanda.
Amen.
Because we do this, right? We do this, right? So we know, like, okay, wait a minute. I gave you $1 million. Where's the media consultant you were supposed to hire?
Where's Edelman and them? Where?
You know, like on my job, I used to videotape people being media trained, so I know what the questions are and how they are prepped and how they're prepped for certain hostile situations. So that's the first thing that hit my mind. I'm like, this guy just wasn't prepped at all. And what was it, minutes before the interview? You're going over this, not a day or two before?
Wait a minute, he basically told Monet that that's what he was doing with $1 million. Don't you want that? He told her that, remember?
Yes,
that
he
you
did.
want the press?
He sure did.
Like, so, okay. I'm like, okay, I don't know what was in your engagement.
Well,
we need to have a conversation.
Well, you know what?
Right.
That bombed interview led to, you know, Zeke pretty much storming off the set. It was terrible. Angry. It made him look guilty. Mm-hmm. And as a result, they said they needed Zeke to turn himself in. And so when that happened, Monet peeps game with Kane, that he's acting funny over there, and that he just dipped all of a sudden. So she follows him out like, what's going on? What's going on? She calls him out, and they go to a place to talk, and basically he lets her know, he tells her the truth, which is like, oh Lord, now what is this gonna mean for Tariq? Too, because he let it.
You know, but at the end of the day, I keep going back to this, you know, how people get railroaded. There is no physical evidence to place him there. There's nothing to tie Zeke into having this other than somebody's speculation, made up idea. There's no history of a relationship between them, no run-ins. There's nothing. And the fact that they don't know about the affair makes the evidence even more, you know, tenuous. There's nothing there. Right, and the fact that it's going this far, it tells you that even with that kind of money, even with him being a known athlete, having the backing of the boosters of this Ivy League institution, of $1 million attorney, how is he still getting railroaded? It makes absolutely no sense.
That's what I said. That cop, that Whitman he's been on him. He's not even willing to listen to reason.
But it takes a lot of people to get him there. Okay, you can have a detective who has an idea, but you have to have a DA that's willing to charge him, and there's nothing there. And I'm just like, It's so
Right.
crazy.
And to
He
be
doing
honest,
well, we saw. Go
no,
ahead.
I started to say, to be honest, Zeke walking out of that interview isn't enough to charge him.
No.
So, you know, that just means he wasn't prepped yet, again, on how to behave.
He made himself look bad.
He
But
made himself
clearly
look
other
bad,
people started thinking he was guilty too, because Lauren started asking that. Even Everett started tripping on Drew, because he was like,
that's based on what he's hearing in the public was coming from the cop. But when you think about it, he's not a suspect. There's nothing tying him to Jabari. Nothing.
Right.
Other than the fact that he's a student at the school Jabari taught at. That's it.
And
that could be the rest of the student body, as far as I'm concerned. Or
and Drew answered questions for Everett, because you see, Everett wanted to know more once he went to talk to him. And I was like, oh, Lord.
That was another thing. You told Everett to ask whatever he wanted to ask about your family. And then when he asked the question that you should have known he would ask, you
don't ask that. I can't answer that.
Can't answer. Come on now. And
yeah, I was like, this is going to end badly too. That's what I said. That was just foreshadowing. I was like, Lord, this is going to end badly for them, for Everett especially.
Particularly because I said to myself, Everett, do you really want to go deep into this? Because the more you know, the more liable you are. And you're just intertwining all this mess. You need to just stay wherever he'll
talk, because you can see he's green too. He's green too. He'll talk. He'll be like, Lauren, what's it called? So basically, going back to the conversation with Kane and Monet, Kane ends up telling her what really happened with Jabari and saying, like, I was right to follow Tariq. He was talking about the business. He mentioned Drew, so I shot him, but Tariq took the kill shot. And so Monet goes off of him, she slaps him, and he said, well, I hope you have the same energy, keep the same energy with Tariq. And she was like, I'll worry about that later. Right now, I'm dealing with you. You need to go get that body and pull it out so that they can know that would clear Zeke. Because, we know that Ramirez has been dead for a couple weeks or whatever. And so that's what he does. And he gets dumb Brayden to help him. And I was like, Brayden, that's why I said, I can see there's going to be a serious fallout between he and Tariq. Like, because the decisions he's made and everything, I was just like.
Yeah, he better run back to Effie. And I mean, this is me personally. He needs to drop Brayden, run back to Effie and say, look, can we hook up? Can we get together? Can we do something? Because this ain't working.
Yeah, because Brayden did all the, dumb things. He did all the dumb things and allowed.
Here's my prediction. My prediction is that Brayden is going to take the rap for all of this because of his ignorance at the jewelry store. And I think we're going to really see that relationship between Lorenzo and Mecca, or Dante, as Monet calls him.
Yeah. That's like an interesting prediction. One of my predictions, like I said, I think it's going to be drama between Brayden and Tariq, because I feel like Tariq, when Brayden was talking about he was going to see these girls and all that stuff, Tariq was looking at him too. I was like, Tariq saw online, he was watching the footage with Big Mama, which we didn't even touch on Big Mama.
Oh, right.
And he was talking about Big Mama and everything. He peeked. I saw the way he looked at Brayden. So I was like, I don't think he halfway believed Brayden either. He knows something is up, but he was like, okay, go ahead and do your thing. I'm gonna worry about this situation. Because Big Mama was tripping.
But obviously he's thinking something's going on, but it's Brayden. Brayden hasn't really done anything too crazy for him to really worry about it. But once he starts to see something going on,
yes, it's going to be a problem, especially since he specifically told him to stay away from Kane. Mm-hmm. So that's going to be a rift. And going back to Big Mama, I thought about that. I thought that was crazy. Like I got Tariq's intent to try to get custody of Yaz, because that footage was like, she drunk
and abused.
They probably to go to AA. She pushed Yaz. But here's the thing. He filed him for trying to get custody and stuff, but he also used Big Mama as his alibi for the night of Jabari's thing. So I'm like, so how you gonna expect Big Mama to vouch for you
Yeah,
when you didn't file, you dropped papers on her.
You got Big Mama now pissed off. She might say anything.
Yes,
But
and
you
Big
know
Mama
what?
said some truth too.
But
She was like,
no, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. But
"No, go ahead."
But he, you know, he could use, like, I mean, man, this is tough because it's like, how cutthroat do you want to be? But if he's filing papers anyway, you know, but he could always say, look, you're going to believe my word, or you're going to believe the word of someone who has an alcohol problem. Who can't remember, you know?
He shot his dad, Ron. So remember, he's willing to do whatever.
He's willing to do anything.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
He'll throw Big Mama under the bus, but she dropped some truth bombs on him too, though, because she was like, you know, a lot of things are happening because of you. You know, Raina, your dad, my daughter's gone. A lot of this stuff is true. It's true. So that was a trip, and then it led to the final scene, basically, with, you know, we find out that Zeke, that the money has been paid to Davis, the $1 million, and she's just like, I know who this is. And when Monet goes to see Mecca, we find out the breaking news, Ron. The breaking news that Mecca is Zeke's dad, and Zeke is not the nephew. He is indeed her son.
And she said to Mecca, I didn't know how to tell you. Wow. Wow.
Right. So all these years. So he says, listen, you know, because she said, well, what am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to tell another man that another man has paid my $1 million? And he was like, no, well, you need to tell him that I did what I need to do to protect our son. And so, and he said, this is how it could be. Like, he was like, I could take care of you and all the kids.
And she seemed to acquiesce to it, because she then went in to hug and kiss or whatever they did. So
listen, when he said that, I wasn't mad. I was like, Team Mecca over here. Because I was like, when she went and told him, like, I need to help Zeke and stuff, when Lorenzo said that about, like, no, like, that's the wrap. Like, that's her family. Like, even if he was not her son, for, you know, your partner or whatever to say, like, oh, no, that we can help our kids, but we can't help your family.
And you raised him like
rough.
You raised him like that for that.
That's rough.
Oh no. Yeah.
So I know he lost Monet.
Yeah, well, Monet was slipping away anyway, but when you said that, that was like
that's the final straw.
That was a nail in the coffin.
That's the cab coming.
But and then
we're outside, we're ready to go. You know,
right? You know, how ironic is it that this whole, like, since the first season going into the second season, all you see is Monet trying to figure out what they're gonna do and how to prepare Zeke for his basketball life so that they could eventually get out the life and the family doesn't have to keep doing what they're doing because it's too much headache and pressure and all that stuff. Only to Mecca to come into the situation, who has money and can do whatever hell he's doing on his own without using the family. Like, that's the golden ticket. Look at how we got to this point. It's crazy. It's crazy. And you know that definitely is not a match made in heaven, because there's so much drama that's coming along with that.
It is, because that's the thing. That ain't gonna happen easily, because now the Reds are gonna get out. And I think if they're gonna be at war, and you know what's gonna happen, the family's gonna be divided, because at the end of the day, Payne and Drew and Diana are Lorenzo's kids, and Diana looks like she's a daddy's girl. So there's gonna be some division there. Like, those kids are probably not gonna take Mecca's side or Monet's side over their dad.
They're gonna be done with Monet.
Oh yeah, plus Monet's not treating them right anyway. So they went,
right. And then for that bombshell to drop, you know, they're just, Monet's out on her own. She can forget it.
Yeah. Do you think that she might end up getting killed, y'all?
I see it coming, you know, because when, at the end of the day, everything that she's done has been just one mistake after another, from not educating Zeke to not being able to control her other two or three, other two, Drew and Kane. Always, you know, and now dropping bodies left and right. You know, with this episode, I didn't feel as though she had to kill the guy. She'd already cut off his ear sitting right there in front of him. And then she puts a bullet in his head. She's dropping bodies. She's doing a lot of things. And now I think the biggest mistake she's made is with Mecca and this rivalry between Lorenzo and Mecca that's coming.
Right.
She's going to get injured by one of them, you know. And I think Lorenzo would be the one. If she goes, Lorenzo's going to take her out.
Mm-hmm. Lorenzo.
I just worry about this story because in Power 1, you knew what you had, and it just grew and developed, and it became like, you know, the darling for STARZ. And now I'm thinking even past everything else. It's like it's tough with another show, a spinoff like this, which is good, and I'm enjoying it. I just don't know how much you can build into it with uncertainty. Especially with, you know, with Courtney not being there anymore and now being a part of Netflix. And I say this, I know this sounds crazy that I'm going so far differently, you know, in my thinking, but I think about, like, could PowerBook 2 get 6 seasons? I don't think so. Could it get maybe 2 or 3, 4 maybe? I don't know. So that kind of
she always
shows
says
me,
it depends on the people. It depends on the demand of the people and the engagement.
But
that's what makes me wonder about the longevity of somebody like Monet being around. Because depending on how many seasons we could see this going, you could build that and say, okay, this person might not be there later. But right now, I'm like, oh, I don't know.
So Kane is the wild card here, because one of the things that when she talked about in the Q&A, without giving away too much, she always said, like, Kane is being Kane. Kane is Kanan. And you know, he's loyal to his family. He always wants to be a part of his family. I wonder if Kane could take out Mecca.
No, I don't see that.
He could.
I don't see it because Kane is so wayward in his thought processes.
But he's impulsive. That's what I mean. You know, he could, if he thought that he was a threat to his dad, his mom, his family, and all of that. And if he feels like, because he has been being used.
But remember, Kane
even said that in the Q&A.
But remember, Kane is with Mecca only because he was trying to get away from his family anyway, because he thought he was mistreated and misused. So
he was with Mecca because he was cut off. Remember, they cut him off. So that's why he wants to be in the family.
Well, no, but that's what I'm saying. He was cut off, and so that's why he went to Mecca. So I think that he really relishes the relationship. Or if we haven't seen it yet, I think that we will see how he relishes the relationship with Mecca. It's just going to be interesting when Mecca.
He does, but he's still not family. Family first.
That's what I'm saying. It's going to be really interesting when all is unveiled that Zeke is Mecca's dad. This is such a blow up for Monet that it almost makes me think that in season 3, we're going to see the leveling up of Mecca and his organization and the demise of Monet, because there's just nothing there in my eye that's going to keep Monet in power.
Right. I want to bed you back on that, because I'm thinking in terms of, you think about the evolution of goes to Tariq. Tariq is not coming from the streets. He's coming from a very privileged background. And so if you're going to deal in this illicit lifestyle and you hide it in the world of high finance and politics, you kind of like Mecca, right? To where you're dealing in the streets, but people don't see it, right? So that's kind of where I was thinking it was going. And you're right about Monet and her business, because it's still tied so closely to the streets. Mm-hmm. What is the point in putting them in this background of having an Ivy League education with the access to people in politics and finance and this old world money, with you still staying in the streets? I don't know if it's just to show that both of the worlds are grimy, but you're supposed to somehow, I'm thinking Tariq is supposed to use that and integrate his background with that lifestyle so that you don't see it. So we see another aspect of it. So if you, okay, so if what we're always saying is that the people who use the drugs are not the people who bring the drugs into the country, I think the Mecca will allow us to see that other avenue of it. And so in that regard, the story with Monet, that storyline doesn't work anymore because we don't want to see that part of the game. We want to see the other side of it. So I think you're right with that.
Good point.
It's another version of power because there's one thing of thinking, okay, I'm in the streets, I have the power, but you don't have any real power because you don't have the kind of power that can say, I'm gonna call the governor and there will be no, or congressman or president, they're not gonna be charges. There won't even be talk of charges. There won't be articles, you know, that's
it seems like Stern has that power.
Yeah.
He let it be known this week he does.
Yeah, because I mean that's what true power is. True power is being able to determine the rules of the game and get other people to abide by them and to play by them, playing by your rules. And so
that's true. I was always taught that true power is reverent power, being able to get people to do things and want to do it because of who you are, not you physically going out and exerting power, but you being able to manipulate people and put people in situations that they do what you want them to do. That's true power. And from what I see with Brother Dante or Mecca, I see that in him much more than I see Monet. Monet is just, she is the ends to the means. She was a way to get to Mecca story-wise and to bring this scenario and kind of, because you said something a few minutes ago, Lawanda, you know, it's one thing to say that how long PowerBook lasts is up to us. No, it's up to storytelling, because if you want us to hang around, then give us a story that's worth hanging around on, you know. So how you develop that that's all up to you, not us. We just want good content. We want to see good storytelling.
Right.
Well, I think it's a lot there though, because I think
it is a lot there.
This episode, I think out of all of them, this episode intrigued me more because it's got.
It did.
Major.
What happened in this one?
Yeah, it was a lot, and I was like, "Ooh, I see where some of this is going." And Mecca is an intriguing character.
Yes, he is.
And the more we learn about him, and then just now learning that he and Monet had a background, and the child, I was like, "Oh, this is," and it's only episode 4.
Yeah.
So I'm like, "Oh."
Yeah. What can we do? What are they going to do next?
Exactly. And next week.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was going to say, and you know, another reason why you can see that there's going to be a lot of division amongst all these different characters, especially within the family.
Yeah.
Notice. I hate using this, but you know, it's just great examples, and it's the same setting. PowerBook 1, or you know, the original Power, when Tariq had the issue, when he was taken by the Italians, and Tommy and Ghost. And you know, they had to come together, even though they were rivals, and they had to figure out how to make that money on the street. So how they all came together with Lala's character, and with Noturi's character, which you know, Tasha, right? They all came together and they figured out a way how to get that money, and they worked together. They had a plan. This episode, when they got to get $1 million for Zeke, everybody's doing their own thing and nobody even knows what they're all doing. They're just throwing the money on the table. Look what I did. Like, nobody even has an idea. It's crazy.
Communication has seemed to be, you know, a lack thereof has been the issue, because a lot of things that's happening, like Brayden not telling Tariq what's going on, which is going to get them jammed up with the Kane situation. Diana didn't tell nobody she took the money, that she trying to get Lorenzo out of jail and stuff. So when people are not talking, people got to be on the same page. You got a team, you got to communicate.
And the only one that did it smoothly, quietly, Mecca. Yep.
Hit them smooth with the transfer, and that's why I'm Team Mecca right now. We'll see what happens with him, but I'm Team Mecca.
He could be my new Ghost.
That's what I'm saying.
Look at him, get ready to switch up.
I'm not switching. Ghost is dead. I'm looking for a new ghost. The job is open.
Yeah,
Go for it,
yeah.
man. Go for it.
So anyway, I think we've touched on everything. What do you guys think? Is there anything else y'all want to touch on?
Look, we dropped enough gems for this whole week. So.
Yeah, we did.
They got me this week. It was good. It was good.
Yeah, this one was just a great episode. There was so much to come out of it. Yeah, so this was a good one.
It really was. It really was. Well, okay, so I think we're gonna wrap it up then. Ron H, thank you for joining us today. You were great.
Thank you for having me.
I was happy to have
You gotta come back. You gotta come back.
Yeah, look, I gotta find something to release this smile on my face.
I'm telling you, man, twice the action, Ron squared. You know,
That's what I'm telling you.
Do the math, Ron H. Do the math.
Yes, and you had good commentary too. So you're welcome back anytime. We always appreciate having our spotters on. If you guys are interested in joining us, you know, please send us a message, a direct message to our Spot Real Talk Instagram page, and we'll reach out to you, and you guys can come join us too. And so with that, we need to wrap it up. I want to say that we are on all social media. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're on TikTok. Please subscribe to our channel, click the notification bell so that you learn anytime we drop a video. We'll also be going live tonight to do episode 8 of Insecure. And, you know, look forward to more videos, more content, more interviews. And that's it. That's all I got.
That's all we need. That's all you need. YouTube and us. That's all.
All right. All right, guys. Thank you.
Good night, everybody. Good night.
Good night.
I don't know if I'm okay. I don't see the light of day. Looking up to higher ground, thinking that'll be your sweet escape. These days gotta schedule the romance. They say that love is a slow dance. A short bike ride to the crib using no hands. Oh shit, it feel like I'm floating, but I'm falling with both eyes closed when I let the world spin. Testing the water, she got my nerves tense. Back when I ain't even have a purpose, I was so eager to learn some things. Anxiety bring out the worst in me. Society paint me as enemy. My niggas making it by that remedy. I'm more occasional, don't do it regularly. Backs under my eyes, weighing down heavily. Mama been worried, the devil allegedly deep in the plan. Subconsciously wanted it since I was 10.